Yeah, so I work in quite a site-specific context, and framed within that is the landscape. And so for many years now, I've been collecting seeds and working with plants and creating alternative gardens. I looked at the hedgerows as these ecological corridors and thinking about all the species that flow between corridors and what happens when you break a corridor or you damage a corridor, and the effects that has on the plant life and also the fauna and the birds. Dennis Connolly and Anne Clear had set up a project called the Eco Showboat, and the idea behind the Eco Showboat was to travel along the river systems and canals around Ireland to stop off at various points and to have artists selected who would be engaged in that particular area. You're engaging an artist to respond to the ideas of Eco Showboat, which is about climate change. So when I was doing my research on the islands, I discovered that there were scientists and other organisations making these floating islands, but they were using this polyvinyl plastic. So that was my starting point for working with willow and thinking about natural materials, and also thinking about the materials that I could harvest from the hedgerow system as well. Also, so linking back always with my other work, and also linking into the seed collection that I'm continuing on over the years. And so that brought me to willow weaving. So then I wanted to develop a community aspect to the project. I could see that it had this potential to connect with people, looking at different structural forms such as the skib, which is a potato basket, thinking about the potato basket as a potential form and also as a communal bowl. So that opens up a space and creates a space for conversation. So Helena Golden came in on the Creative Ireland project with me, and we worked with the Corliss women's group, and we developed different basket forms, and we utilised some of those baskets for my water installation, or our water installation I should say. Yeah, I love having an opportunity to be a student always and learning from other people. I think it's one of the best things about being an artist is knowing that you never know enough. And there's always more room to learn about new materials and new ways of making. And it also keeps the work really fresh when you have that opportunity. And we had a fantastic workshop program, and we developed these structures that we connected then to the mother basket, which is the baskets that I wove. I organised an event for Blackrock Pond, and so we connected the baskets, the smaller baskets, to the mother baskets, and then we also planted the baskets on site, and then we took those baskets out onto the pond, which is where they're floating happily. Yeah, so the Northwest is a very important place for me to be in. It has a very unique landscape, it has a connection with people, and there's always this tremendous pull and potential within that landscape for artists. And so the award was a total surprise and honour to receive this award, and I'm really delighted.
But we had to go back home on the rail car, and we walked from the school out to the station right here in Hamilton.
The latest train was 9:30, you know. There would bring people down if they wanted to go shopping and all that, and then bring them back up and everything, you know.
The Sligo Leitrim Railway was an independent railway that started in 1875 from Clooney to Enniskillen, and it also linked up then with from Clooney to Sligo on the Midland Great Western Railway. Part of that story includes my own family. My mother got her job in Enniskillen, so she travelled to Enniskillen on the railways. It's where she met my father, and they went off to England, so that's sort of a means of taking her away from the area. Right, so Communities in Reminiscence is a project that evolved from a windows display during Christmas during the lockdowns. We then tried to incorporate the Sligo Leitrim Railway to make this whole project a lot more personal to Ireland, rather than just a generic kind of window show. And this evolved working with the Bee Park Resource Centre and involving the communities within the Bee Park. North Leitrim Men's Group, the Women's Centre, the National Learning Network and the Kilgar Group, the Day Centre for the HSE. They are still old enough to remember the railway running, and so our first part of the project was to record the childhood memories of the railway. These memories were used as some of the triggers for working with the other groups on what we actually made. That each of these groups would have a 2-foot by 16-foot board to model up. All these boards would then link together so you can run this massive railway. We was running classes in ceramic house building, cardboard house building, and was looking at 3D modelling as well. The old way of doing something and the modern way of doing something, and the integration of the two. So the finished piece is a huge railway model which has the 2 stations, the big bog basically that joins Manhampton to Glenfarne, and we also have a mountain scene where the train runs through quite a mountainous area. So each of these were put together by the 2 ends were done by the men's group and the 2 sides were done by the women's group. We're now in the Leitrim Sculpture Centre's shop, and this exhibition is one on the Leitrim chair. This is a project which was developed with the Leitrim Heritage Department and the Leitrim Sculpture Centre. The Heritage Group wanted a Leitrim chair being made, and we made it into a community project. What is it? It's a slab and stick chair that was designed by the Surlis family and developed it a few hundred years ago. And in the last couple of years, Edwina Guckian was involved in a project which she filmed, but it was getting a furniture maker to make a Leitrim chair. So it's bringing all those things together, trying to retain the old traditions of how chairs were made. We initially started with making the shaving horses. We managed to get local ash from Glenfarne, and we ran 4 classes of 6 people, and we made these Leitrim chairs using both traditional methods and then later on using more of the modern machine methods, so that we have these 2 different ways of making a chair. I've been living in Leitrim now for almost 30 years and working as an artist for most of those. I suppose it's the first time I would say I've received an award for it. I almost see it as a recognition that I exist and do things here that may be of use.
Everything's always related to theatre and psychology. Coming from this town, I was always involved in music in the town as a kid, and our local Breffni Players, our amateur drama group. So I remember walking in, I think I was around 22 or 23, going, "Hi, can I direct your next play?" And it was a room full of men, and they were like, "Of course you can." But I've directed a few plays with the local drama group, including By the Bog of Cats by Marina Carr, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. For me, theatre is always about collaboration. I had a new idea with Donal Connaughty, and I was going, well, I'd like an event where we can bring different writing together. We wanted it to speak to what was going on at the time. So one was, Putin was in power, Trump was in power. One was a total spoof on power. It was comedic on purpose, and I wrote it through the fairy tale genre. And it was again about somebody who wanted to control the moon.
So be wise. Save your energy.
After her! I can't, my lord. She has done something. I can't move. I want special military operation.
I decided I'd direct it just to I guess to save money, but also again, as the writer, I didn't want the team to be, oh well, you wrote it so you must know everything. I don't. The way I write is it's written and then it becomes something else, and I park it and let actors and designers make sense of it then, and we have fun exploring and discovering in the room, which we did. It's not, I wouldn't say it's easier, but there seems to be more pathways to get your writing seen. But actually with playwriting, it takes a lot of money, even to get the smallest of works seen out there, because you can do a reading, but really the reading is a reading. It is to be performed. And to be performed, you need to pay your actors, your directors, your designers, if you want it done right.
Make me.
Make me!
Do you think I'd jump out?
Oh, definitely!
Would you save me, would you?
Would you? Come down now. I'd save you, so I would.
You're probably right. That's exactly what I would do.
But we'd probably both die together, huh? That'd be Mosey Collie mental altogether.
You all have to report this.
So Slip is a longer play. It's actually a full-length play. And it's really currently speaking to, there's a lot of sad stuff coming on about institutes, be they schools, asylums, mental health, well-being, depression, all of this issue that seems to be very prominent at the moment. And it is set in the Northwest, and it is set in the 1980s, around 1985. And it is about a woman who goes in for arrest and ends up incarcerated for far longer than simply arrest.
For now, come on now, or you'll be late.
Oh, your treatment, all for the love of you.
I don't need shock treatment.
What's normal nowadays, Slater, huh? Because I'm definitely normal, I am.
I've enough damn treatment.
Damn
Come along now.
Of course.
You know, she's not as passive as maybe you might have seen in the rehearsed reading. When the play turns, she makes a decision. It's a very good decision, and you have to tune in to see what happens. I have now, as a result of the 2 performances that I was involved in, I have a really decent collection of phone numbers of artists who say they will work with me again. So pick up the phone and ring them, which is great. And you know, you don't have to be in Dublin to make nice work or good work. It can happen here as well.
From the depths of Leitrim.
So this is a poster for the first ever Hunter's Moon Festival. Blood Stereo played, Anya O'Dwyer, who's fantastic, Raising Holy Sparks, United Bible Studies, Dave Lacey and Paul Vogel. So the first Hunter's Moon happened in Carrick-on-Shannon in 2011. It was a 3-day festival that happened throughout the town. We had a visual arts trail in some of the empty shop units in the town, with Caroline Walsh was the curator for that. We had film screenings with the Northwest Cinemobile down, parked outside the dock. We had workshops. We had art in windows throughout the town. And then we had music, a mix of experimental music, outer sounds things. Had a lot of folk music, some punk, kind of a pretty wide cross section. We've put on events for hundreds of artists, musicians, and performers who've come here from all around the globe. We've put on events in fields, in amongst trees, under hay barns, in sitting rooms, anywhere we can find that will let us put something on. I run Hunter's Moon with my partner, Willie Stewart, and before moving to Leitrim, we've always done things where we've done events or been involved in spaces and having spaces where people can come together, spaces that create kind of temporary zones for ideas and people and experimentation to come together. In the last 2 years, we've been really lucky to get Leitrim Live Performance funding through Leitrim Arts, where we've been able to commission Leitrim-based artists and performers and musicians to create new work. This is great because then people are just bouncing things off of each other that people that you might not have met if you did all live in Dublin or something. The last couple of years I've been working lots with a brilliant cellist named Emer Reedy, who has recently moved to Leitrim and is one of the there's so many amazing musicians who've moved here in the last while, and she's one of them. Emer and I, we just finished a soundtrack for a film that was shown in Emma. That'll hopefully be shown a few more places. And we've just finished an album as well that was recorded in St. George's Church, Carrick Shannon, on their lovely organ there. And I do a lot of solo work, a lot of sound collage, sound art, performances, collaborations. I work a lot with my partner Willie. I play in some bands as well and some groups. At the moment I'm mostly working on some compositions for commissions for next year. When I found out I was receiving this award, I love Leitrim and I love the creative community here, and it's just, you know, it feels so great to have something that makes me feel like I'm somehow contributing to the positivity of all the creativity and wonderful things that happen within our wonderful little land of Leitrim.